Well, Nebraska's final Friday Night Lights camp here in the book. Sean Callahan, Nate Klaus with video producer Greg Peterson for HuskerOnline.com. And Nate, this camp had a lot of buildup going into it, and I think as we leave the event here Friday night, it's safe to say this camp was maybe everything we thought it was going to be, maybe even a little bit better.
I would say definitely exceeded expectations, and you had to start with the fans. I mean, there was close to
3,000
close to 3,000 fans in the stadium. They were chanting, cheering, oohing, and aahing, and I think the talent that was here is something that we really probably haven't seen before, and they definitely put on a show for those fans. It was a lot of fun to watch, actually.
Well, and really all the eyes were on the defensive backs and the wide receivers. You had quarterback Tristan Gebbia here throwing, and just as much talent as far as the recruiting level maybe ever that we've seen in the stadium before.
Yeah, most definitely as much talent at the skill positions as we've seen before. Obviously, you've got Keyshawn Johnson Jr. and Javon McQuitty that are four-star wide receivers committed to Nebraska, both of whom performed very well tonight. But you also had Joseph Lewis, and I think this is the first chance that a lot of people have really been able to see a lot of Joseph Lewis. Obviously, his first trip to Lincoln, to Nebraska, but he showed why he's a five-star wide receiver tonight. And obviously, Tyjon Lindsey was his consistent self, putting on a show, being very difficult to cover.
You talk about Javon McQuitty, but another big-time athlete receiver recruit also was here from the state of Missouri.
Yeah, you knew that there was probably going to be a surprise or two tonight, and Deron Davis, arguably the top wide receiver athlete out of the state of Missouri, committed to Missouri, showed up tonight just unannounced, out of the blue, showed up, and he looked like the MVP wide receiver that we saw at the Kansas City Rivals camp tonight.
And really maybe one of the best guys we saw was in the defensive backfield tonight.
Yeah, Bookie Radley Hiles, the 2018 Rivals 100 cornerback from Calabasas, put on a show in terms of just shutting down. Yeah, the ball skills, shutting down wide receivers at the line of scrimmage. I've never really seen a cornerback who's so strong at the line of scrimmage. There's a couple times where he just pancaked guys at the line of scrimmage using his press coverage, but also tremendous ball skills, breaking up passes. Jalen Kelly Powell, the four-star cornerback out of Detroit Cass Technical, was another guy who did extremely well tonight and showed why he's a top 100, top 250 type of talent. And he matched up very well against all these wide receivers that were here.
And let's go over to the defensive line, offensive line. Obviously, some in-state guys were here. Patrick Arnold from Gretna. You had Chris Walker from Lincoln East, but obviously some other guys that jumped out on the defensive side of the ball on the defensive line.
Yeah, Anthony Payne, the defensive end out of Kansas City area, who was kind of just picked up an offer from Michigan last week in search of an offer from Nebraska. He did very well tonight. He worked at both defensive tackle, defensive end, very explosive. He's very strong too. I saw quite a few good battles between he and Patrick Arnold there inside in the trenches. You got two very strong guys who were going toe to toe. He had some great battles. Jordan Popp is an in-state kid out of Central City. The defensive end did well at the in the one-on-ones portion of the camp too.
And lastly, this crowd was unbelievable. I mean, 2,500 to 3,000 fans. We joked that this was the size of a crowd that you got for like the Class A state championship game on this west side of the stadium. I mean, it was literally, it filled the entire lower part of the west side of the stadium. And, the other camps had maybe 200 to 400 people at tops, mostly parents, but I've never seen anything like this, Nate, with the amount of fans, just common spectators, people that brought their kids here tonight to get a piece or get a taste of what a 4- and 5-star recruit looks like.
Yeah, I mean, there's not too many times that you can say that this is a first in Nebraska football history, but I'm pretty sure you could say that tonight because we've never seen anything like this. And it wasn't like there was a concert going on down here or concessions weren't even open. I mean, this was all about people coming out to see the big-time talent that's coming to Nebraska or potentially heading this way.
Well, it was an unbelievable night, and we will continue to have coverage here from the camp on HuskerOnline.com. Signing off here from Memorial Stadium, Sean Callahan with Nate Klaus and video producer Greg Peterson.